So I'm waiting for some food I just made to cool down. I figure I'll talk about this subreddit that I found called Love After Porn. And basically, it's almost entirely women talking about their boyfriends and husbands who are addicted to pornography. And they're they're trying to get them to quit, and they're getting divorces, and they're having these relationship issues. And basically, it's really sad, and sometimes so it's so weird, the things that you know they'll write down in the subreddits, that it's funny in a tragic way. Like there was one post where a woman had forbidden her boyfriend from playing games like Overwatch, um, and some other stuff I can't recall. But games like that where people make a lot of pornography of the characters because of him looking at the pornography. And she was like, "You've lost, you know," or maybe a comment said this, but he lost the privileges to those to those games because of the pornography. And it's a fascinating subreddit. I have a hard time reading some of the posts because a lot of it is pretty much the same sort of thing, and the way that the woman write, um, I guess you kind of start reading and you know exactly where it's gonna go. I read a post today that was pretty interesting, and I screenshotted it. I can't actually remember what the post was now though. Um, but it's just really interesting. Um, 'Cause I think that the main thing is, well, here was one I saw. There was one post that said this woman said, she was tired of pretending like quitting porn was something difficult. And most people believe, I mean, not it wasn't like this a few years ago, but now it's getting to the point where there's so much um, addiction propaganda to the point where people believe that pornography addiction is a real thing. In the same way that they believe in alcohol addiction and things. Where if you read if you read like the book The Freedom Model, um, and other resources, there's really no such thing as a physiological addiction that'll basically force somebody to do something. So it's not that anybody is really, I guess, locked down into their substance use or their porn use. So, on the one hand, anytime that there's one of those posts where they say, this should be easy for them to quit. On the one hand, yeah, that's true, and yes, but on the other hand, no. And I guess what I mean is, I don't like the way I said that. Basically, yes, they are right. Um, it is. It's trivial to quit. Um, and they have the right to think that and to feel that way. Um, the problem is that since the human heart and the flesh is evil, um, it's unrealistic. So, if you're a married man, because this goes either way, if you're if you're a married man, you shouldn't expect that your wife is never going to look at another man lustfully, because she's going to do that at some point. And she's probably going to, I mean, this is most women. This is most men too, you know. A lot of married people will at least look at others, and they will feel certain things and have their fantasies in their head, and they will also flirt with other people who, you know, that's not the person they're married to, or that's not their boyfriend or girlfriend. They'll flirt with other people anyway. And cheating is definitely a real thing, like to the point of sexual intercourse, obviously. And it's way more common than I think people realize. With the internet, um, especially on TikTok, it's basically becoming normalized now. And we're probably going to get to the point where people won't believe in the boyfriend girlfriend thing or husband and wife thing anymore. And that might take a couple decades, but I think that people, with the way that, I guess it kind of depends on whether or not, in the US, I'm talking about here, not in other countries, I'm just talking about US. If the economic condition gets steadily worse without just outright collapsing, I think that what's going to happen is that I maybe this doesn't make sense. Maybe it makes more sense that people would pair up to pay for, you know, the things they need, which is kind of what people do right now. But I guess that's because of children. Maybe that the whole structure is unavoidable of the family structure, because you know, even when people aren't married, a lot of times now, and I guess a lot of times in history, they've lived together and they have children of their own, and they have children together. So maybe that's my train of thought was going off somewhere there that wasn't realistic. But basically, I was going to theorize that the basic relationship structure, that the romantic relationship structure would fall apart, which maybe, I guess maybe it will at some point, more, where people don't believe in the boyfriend and girlfriend thing. But maybe it's less of an economic reason. I don't know why I was going with that train of thought. But on TikTok, you know, cheating, eh, and TikTok is a huge app. You know, like everybody's using it. It's like if you want to know what the this youngest generation is up to, you just use some TikTok, or I guess any part of the internet really. But it's on I don't think it's on Twitter, at least not on my Twitter. But on my TikTok feed, you know, people basically joke about cheating and stuff all the time, in the way where you can tell that, you know, it's a joke, but it's also serious. And sometimes they'll just outright admit it, like, yeah, I was cheating on this person this whole time. They'll just write stuff like that in a comment section or something. And you couldn't really get away with that on Reddit or Twitter or something. But these comments will have tens of thousands of likes. So it's definitely becoming normalized. And I think that, you know, at that point you already don't really believe it. Like if you're somebody who's been cheated on, and then as revenge on future partners or your current partner, you just stop being faithful to, you just already don't believe in that structure that you're pretending to believe in, so that you can have this relationship with this person. Um, I'm almost laughing, but it's so terrible. I guess that's why I'm laughing. um, I mean, maybe people will stop even trying to be boyfriend and girlfriend. It's kind of happened a little bit already where, somebody might just be single for a long time and then instead they'll hook up just with whoever without really ever committing to anybody. Um, I don't live in a city or anything. I think that it's different in cities because people describe, and you see girls on the internet, that just the sexual culture is different. I see girls on the internet, the way they dress and casual everyday life is kind of appalling, compared with how they dress in the area that I live, or just, you know, like a basic level of modesty and decency. Actually, that brings me back to the Love After Porn subreddit because a lot of these women are definitely man haters, just misandrists, and they're still right that their boyfriends or husbands shouldn't use porn, and porn is a cancer on society and should be eradicated. And if I was the leader of a nation, I would rather it be subjected to famine than to have porn introduced to it, just hypothetically. Some of these women definitely just hate men though, because they will hate men that use porn, but they will not hold other women accountable whatsoever for creating porn or for quote unquote sex work. Um, Basically, the whole attitude is that if you're a woman and you choose to create porn, well, that's empowering, and that's your freedom. And if you speak against this, you're a misogynist. You want to control women, you hate women, that sort of thing. If you don't think that women should make porn if they want to, but on the flip side, they believe that every man that watches porn is a misogynist and a loser. So basically, they believe, and also they hate or that rather they resent, not hate, but they resent their boyfriends and husbands for using porn, and they resent men who use porn, but they're not going to blame other women whatsoever for being the ones that the men are interested in. And it's like, at that point, you're just being stupid because, you know, I mean, I've used porn before. I know how it is. Um, you can go somewhere, and sometimes, there's a lot of people know it's adultery. Like, people know what it is. So these women, maybe they'll make some comment like, "Is your wife as good as me?" or something like that. So they know what they're doing, but we're not going to hold women accountable for that at all. Like, as a woman, if you're married, let's say, you know, you're you want to hang out with your husband at some group event, like it's some dinner many people are going to be at, and one of the other women that shows up at this table, like, dresses in some way that is designed specifically for men to look at her. Are you not going to be irked by that or irritated by that woman's behavior whatsoever when she is purposefully trying to draw the attention? Let's say hypothetically, every man at this table is married, and this woman knew this was going to happen, but maybe, she's got a low cut top or something like that. And it's like, why are you even doing that at that point? And if you go out in public, you know, you we're all adults. We know how this stuff works. I mean, if you're listening to this, I hope you're an adult, or at least, you're listening to this with some sort of wisdom and caution. Um, if you're an attractive woman and you go out and you dress in a certain way, you know for a fact, you know that married men are going to look at you. And you can say, and you are right, that they should not be looking at you, but you still are contributing to the problem because you're being the person that they're looking at. And you can say, that's not my responsibility, that's not my fault. And in a way, that's right, but it's also wrong because realistically, you know what's going to happen. Um, and I highly doubt that, most women that would dress like that aren't going to have this hard moral line where they're going to be outright displeased if a married man checks them out. Like if you're the kind of woman that likes it when a man checks you out, are you I don't believe you is what I'm saying that you're going to be upset every time a man looks at you if he is married. Um I don't believe you. I think that there's going to be a gray, not even a gray area. I mean, the reason it's a gray area is because there's black in it, which is darkness. Um, you're going to take some sort of satisfaction from men in relationships checking you out. That's definitely wrong. And if porn itself is bad, it's obviously bad that women are making it. So they should be, when I say held accountable, I don't mean like thrown in jail or something. I just mean that these women are totally unreasonable and obviously just despise men if they're not going to blame women who make these things at all. And if you're not going to, it's like, why? Some women even have the attitude where they feel they should basically, they should be able to walk around naked or without a shirt on or something. And it shouldn't be their problem. Because it should be men's responsibility to control their sexualities. Um, and maybe that's correct in a way. Like in the Garden of Eden, man and woman were both naked and it wasn't a problem. But the problem is that when sin entered their hearts, then it was a problem. And we're living in a world of sinners, so you can't walk around naked for that reason. It's just totally unrealistic to put all of the responsibility on the man to control himself. Even if he can do it, the simple reality is that the flesh is evil and sinful, and the man isn't going to do that. He's not going to control himself appropriately. So, like in this subreddit, the Love After Porn, sometimes, these men will go years without looking at porn, but then, at some point they do it again. And it's just kind of realistic, I think, that that's going to happen. And this is part of the reason I mean, I don't even necessarily feel, I don't think that anybody is ever really worthy of another person. Um, I don't feel like I am worthy of a relationship because of of the lust within my heart, where, most of the time it's, I guess I don't even know, it depends on what do you mean by lust, because I was going to say most of the time it's not there, but pretty consistently for a long time now, I'll basically go a month or a month and a half without really, you know, doing anything, and then I will do it again. And basically, the way I think is, I feel like if I'm in a relationship with somebody, at some point I'm going to look at another woman, or I'm going to flirt with somebody else, or I'm going to look at porn, because I don't think that I have the character, the moral character to walk perfectly. I don't think I have the um, proper heart posture to not do these things eventually. And I think that's just how people are. I think that's pretty much how everybody is. And there's some people that don't, it's not really a problem, because everybody is different, you see people, because I can think of different couples where just thinking about them, I don't think that they really have these problems as much. Like I can think of, I don't know, I can think of a few different couples where I'm like, I don't think that either of them are really that guilty of adultery. Now, everybody is, obviously. Like, to some extent, you're going to look at other people and you're going to lust after those people. Surely, right? But the peak woman fantasy is being the sole subject of a man's love and passion. And the unfortunate reality is that that's just not real. It just isn't. I mean, 99.9% of the time. And when you're a man, there's gonna probably be some point in your life where you're going to meet a woman who could be that woman for you, where you're like, I will never look at another woman again. And then she's gonna turn you down and break your heart. So, it's a poopy world. It's a poopy world, and things suck in it, I guess, is the point that I'm trying to make here. The Love After Porn subreddit is really sad, though. Cause I do feel bad for women. I would, especially when it comes to romance, and who gets the better deal here. Men definitely get the better deal, and I definitely feel bad for women a lot of the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. Um, I think that I have a more realistic view of women than I would otherwise because of the things I've seen on the internet, and just what people have told me. You know, TikTok has actually been a pretty great resource for understanding women, and it's kind of crazy just how women will act like they are your pal and your friend and your ally, and they just really aren't. Sometimes they're just really not. And I think basically it just comes from a woman is going to act, she's going to be very influenced by how she feels. So, in a given moment, she might like you and enjoy being around you, but that doesn't mean that she necessarily has the character to be honest with you and to be a true friend to you. Um, so that's where sometimes it seems like people are two-faced when they're really not. It's just that they like you, and when it suits them and when it makes them feel good, they will treat you well. But at the end of the day, somebody's going to look out for their best interest. Most people are going to do that. And if that means that they have to lie to you or something, then, they will do that. Just if it means avoiding even being in a situation where they have to tell you an uncomfortable truth or something. And also, sometimes women, this is very annoying, very, very annoying, but they think that lying is better sometimes when really it's not. Um, I remember seeing something on the internet where it was something along the lines of it was a woman who was rejecting a man, and she wanted to. There was a very specific reason that she was rejecting him, and it was something that this man had self-esteem issues about because women had rejected him about this issue before. And she wanted him to believe that she wasn't rejecting him for that reason because she didn't want to lower his confidence. But the problem is that she was actually rejecting him for that reason. So basically what I'm saying is sometimes women will think like this where they will try to give men an unrealistic understanding of things because, they think that they're doing something nice here, but they're not. Basically, they're manipulating the man into having more confidence than he should, or being, you know, they're letting him keep his joy in the moment or something. I just don't, I hate nice lies. I don't like nice lies. I don't like lies at all. And I lose so much respect for a woman when I catch her in a nice lie. Um, because I would trust and like that person so much more if they could just be honest with me, even if it was apologetically honest. And I can think of at least one instance where I'm pretty sure somebody was lying to me and hiding the truth from me when they could have been honest, and it would have made me feel better than the version of events that they tried to give me because they thought that it would, you know, they think that they're doing something better for you, but it's a lie. It's not useful because it's a lie. I have to know what the truth is so that I know how the world works so that I can operate in it properly. Anyway, I guess I've been talking almost 30 minutes, so I guess I'll wrap it up. But the Love After Porn subreddit is really interesting. I think it's interesting to read as a man, and you should check it out. And not if you're a child. Um, if you're a child, hi, I guess, hello. If you are a child or just a young person, whatever, stay away from pornography, um, because it's really bad.